how they made barrels in the old days, up until around 1960s, 1970s. So all these old ones were put on the visitor circuit for people to see.
Cool.
This is how they made barrels in the old days, up until around 1960s, 1970s.
How did they get the bend, like the shape?
You stand the staves, it's called in a rose shape, in a circle. You drive metal hoops down, and then you build a fire on the inside. You spray water around the center of the outside. The fire on the inside will draw the humidity through the staves in the middle and make it slightly bendable.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you have to use a cable and a winch, otherwise you would crack the staves.
Right.
And you'll see there's a couple that have been cracked there.
Ah, cool.
But this is the part of the oak tree that we use. Out of a lump like this, you get maybe 2.5 barrels. That's all. But the cooperage that we use, who bought the Martell cooperage and our coopers, they have each time they have a tree cut down, one is replanted. So there's automatic reforestation, and the wood is they're also stave millers. In other words, they're the people who supply staves to the coopers. So the wood comes to the cooperage, it's stored outside like this, in the open air, and it's washed by the rain, dried by the sun for 2 years. And that is to bring the humidity level in the oak down to a reasonable level. And once that's done, they then take the planks inside, and what used to be done by hand is now done by machine. You cut the ends off, then you scoop out the inside, you round the outside up, and you make a sort of elongated lozenge shape. The next stage is to stand the staves in a circle, drive rings down them, and then you need to bring in the splayed out ends. And what they do is they make a fire on the inside of what will be the barrel. They put a cable, a winch, and they put water on the center of the staves on the outside. And that water is humidity, so it will be drawn inwards by the fire, and that will make the staves supple enough using the hawser and the winch to bring to make the barrel shape. It's then flipped on its side and more rings are put on. Once that's done, you then need to put the ends in. So they make a circle, they pin planks of oak together, and they put reeds between them, because there's not so much pressure to make the wood butt up against its neighbours on the ends. So that's why the reeds act as a sort of gasket. They then chamfer down the edge of the staves at both ends and cut a groove about that far down, about 2-3 centimetres from the end of the stage. And that is, they're then going to slot the lid into that groove. Once that's done, the barrel's basically finished. They need to test it. And so they fill it full of, they put 10 litres of boiling water in it. And then they put compressed air. They put it under pressure. And that, if there's a leak, then the water will be forced out by the compressed air. 30% of all barrels leak first time. So they go back to the coopers, they're repaired, and so on. But at every stage of making the barrels, it's the human eyes and ears that watch, observe, and are looking for knots that might not be picked up, or veins in the wood, because those mean leaks. So we buy around 2,500 barrels every year. The standard barrels they used to be 270, then 520, but now we're using 350 and 400 litre barrels, simply because they provide the best ratio of wood to liquid. In Bordeaux it's 225 litre barrels because they want a lot of tannin versus the liquid. In the white wine areas, they use 600 litre barrels because they don't want a lot of tannins, a lot of woody flavours in the wine. so the ratio is much smaller. So, we've got 2 more places to go, which we don't take tourists to, and then we'll head back and have some lunch. But we need to have a drink of something first. That's the carrot.